चीफ ऑपरेटिंग ऑफिसर एट Bookme.pk. Bookme.pk को आप लोग शायद जानते होंगे, पाकिस्तान का सबसे बड़ा ई टिकटिंग का स्टार्टअप। और अपने अगर ई कॉमर्स में डिजिटल चेकआउट्स देखे जाएं तो उस हिसाब से सबसे बड़ा ब्रांड है। इवन वी डू मोर ऑनलाइन चेकआउट्स देन फूड पांडा और दराज और मे बी करीम, बिकॉज उनका जो प्रीडोमिनेंट मेथड ऑफ पेमेंट होता है वो कैश ऑन डिलीवरी होता है। सो दैट्स अ बिट अबाउट मी। आई लाइक टू आस्क यू गाइज अ क्वेश्चन, हाउ डू यू गाइज डिफाइन अ स्टार्टअप? प्लीज़ रेज योर हैंड्स एंड टेल मी कि आप क्या समझते हैं कि स्टार्टअप क्या होता है, किस चीज़ को स्टार्टअप कहा जा सकता है?
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Sir, startup generally literally means to give the process or action to move something in certain place, or to, in simple words, to give it a motion. This is the literal meaning. Or agar actual meaning and if we talk about the actual meaning of a startup, the actual meaning of a startup is to like visualize something and like idealize something and start working on it. So as soon as you start working on it, it turns out to be a startup.
ठीक है, वैसे आपने काफ़ी फिजिक्स वाली एक डेफिनेशन दी है, बट दैट्स अ गुड स्टार्ट। आई लाइक टू गेट कपल मोर आंसर्स। यस।
In my point of view, startup is solving a problem, like my existing society ki some problem to be solved, leads
सही।
towards startup.
और कोई डेफिनेशन? माइक पे बताएं ताकि सब सुन लें।
Assalamualaikum. In my view, startup who has the special innovative idea, which also solve the problems of the, you can say the community or someone.
सही। एनी अदर आंसर्स? यस।
According to me, startup is that solving a problem with the resources that you have, and the second thing is bringing an innovation in existing business.
सही। एंड एनी अदर आंसर्स?
Startups are small businesses that have new products or existing products trying to penetrate into a new market or an existing market.
Okay, so you guys are close, but I'll tell you the definition that I have crafted for myself. मैं समझता हूँ कि actually we have a few people who might not understand Urdu, so I'll just speak in English. So to me, a startup would be something that has a scale that is repeatable. So it's a venture that is highly risky, but it can turn out to be very profitable. It can turn out to be something that can have great growth. So two things would be the most important ones. Would be number one, repeatable. It needs to be repeatable. What you're trying to do, you should be able to you should be able to repeat it, and as many times as you repeat something that you do, your numbers or your profit or your sales go up. And scalability bhi yahi hai. So scalability, if you start something that's really innovative, maybe it's a toy shop, or maybe it's a juice bar. It's really innovative. You have a new ordering system, you have great new machines, you do something that makes the best juice. But it will only become a startup when you start thinking, how can I open 100 more of these, and how can I there shouldn't be a ceiling to the scalability of your business idea. So that would be startup as a definition from my side. And let's talk about Bookme. So as I mentioned before, I'm the chief operating officer for Bookme. A bit about me: I've been involved with the startup ecosystem in Pakistan since 2012. There was business plan competition that was the Prime Minister Entrepreneurial Challenge. I took part in it 2011, 2012, and Plan 9 launch हुआ था. So there was that was the Pakistan's first tech incubator, and I was a part of it from day one. I had my own company that was a renewable energy startup, and I was 22 at the time. And that startup was recognized by the World Bank, or recognized by MIT, Punjab government. I got to meet the CM, Mr. Shahbaz Sharif, at the age of 22, and I was on CNN. But it might have looked like that this will work out, but it didn't. We had to close operations after 2.5 years. So it is a constant hard work. And if you start a startup, you probably would have to work 7 days a week. You probably would have to work 12 hours a day. So it's not a walk in the park, and it's not for everyone. So startup, once again, a refresher, something that's scalable, it's innovative, and it's repeatable, has a great growth potential. You can multiply the numbers and the sales will, like if you multiply one of those factors, you would be able to increase the impact, increase the sales. So that would define the startup. Okay. A bit about Bookme. So Bookme started in the year 2013. I was already at Plan 9. One of my friends, actually, he wasn't a friend back then. We are great friends now, though. So he came to Plan 9 and wanted to know if this is a legit initiative. कोई सिफारिश वगैरह का तो कोई सिस्टम नहीं है या क्या anybody like him, a humble guy from Sahiwal, can he get a place at Plan 9 if he has the right idea? So I told him yes, your degree won't matter. You're not from a fancy school. That won't matter. If you have the right idea, you have the right team, you have the passion, you could get a spot at Plan 9. And Plan 9 ने काफ़ी अच्छा trickle down effect बनाया है, डायनामो इफेक्ट बनाया है कि अब बहुत सारे incubators हैं, almost हर यूनिवर्सिटी में incubators हैं. और Bookme is probably one of the big success stories to come out of incubator ecosystem in Pakistan. So उस टाइम पे start किया. We started at the time when there was no 3G or 4G in Pakistan. Internet penetration was less than 10%, but we had a vision. We had a vision that one day we can make traveling easy in Pakistan. We can make buying tickets easy in Pakistan. So Faizan, who's not here, who's the founder of the company, he himself was a student from Sahiwal. He had to travel to Islamabad to his university. That was the Islamic International University where he did his bachelor's in computer science. He would have great pain trying to get a bus ticket on busy days. And this was the pain that kept him believing in the vision that one day probably I could solve this problem. So a good takeaway would be try to see problems around you. Maybe if you're facing a problem, it's quite guaranteed that there would be other people who would be going through the same. So that was something that was close to his heart. He had all the passion, though ke us time par the industry was not very conducive to an idea like that. Currently, we have the largest bus portfolio. We are the exclusive ticketing partner for Pakistan Cricket Board. We built the software for them. And now Asian Cricket Council as well. So the Asia Cup that's about to happen in a week's time, उसकी जो ticketing technology है, उसकी ticketing का platform भी Bookme है. So for the first time ever, Pakistani company would be able to sell Pakistan versus India tickets in another country. So thank you. So 15 people from my team are flying to Sri Lanka in 3-4 days, and we will be actually validating the tickets in Sri Lanka. It's a big achievement on our part, and that's only been possible because when we started out, nobody believed in the idea. So if you have an idea that nobody believes in today, probably it's ahead of its time. So we were ahead of our time, and that's the reason that यहाँ तक पहुँचने में हमें 10 साल लगे. It took us 10 years to be here. and it wasn't easy. So it's really important to know that it might look very attractive, that you could meet the top echelon of your country, you could be featured on CNN, you could be raising money, or you could be doing something that's meaningful. But on the other hand, you need to know that it's not easy. It's a 7-day job. You have to work 12 hours, 16 hours a day. You would probably have gray hair by the time you reach 30. You can look at me for that. And then you might start having health problems. So it's not for everybody. It's only for the strong-willed people who can go to any length for their passion. And that's one of the reasons why Bookme was able to do so well. So in 10 years, we are the largest ticketing a company to be featured out of Pakistan. We won Asia Pacific Best Travel Technology Platform in the year 2023. But wahi baat, this year, 10 years, it's a journey of 10 years. You cannot just have something short term and expect to reap the benefits in like 3 or 4 years. It's a long process, it's a long journey. Acha, I'd like to know who thinks has the most genuine, untapped business idea from the co-founders that are present here in this hall. Please, अगर आप इनको mic pass कर सकें.
Assalamualaikum. This is Mohsen from Park Bioenergy, and just like you, I started from a renewable energy concept idea, and we are working not only on renewable energy but also for the climate action. We are making the biomass fuels that is made from agriculture waste. Actually, we want to replace the use of coal, woods, and all the substitutes that people use in spite of natural gas. Natural gas is going short day by day, so we are presenting them. So 100% all the things are right that it's too hard work to do 7 days, 24 hours a week. So I would like to ask for some motivation.
Yeah,
As
sure.
it's
We'll do
getting
the
really
Q&A
hard day by
session
day.
as well.
Exactly, and the market response is so unstable at this time, and people are not worried for climate, but they are worried for the rupees, for the pricing.
Sahi.
So,
So, what's your name?
Mohsen.
Mohsin, do you think your idea is unique and has never been done before? Question from you. Do you think your idea is unique and has never been done before?
It's
In
being
Pakistan.
done in Europe, yes. It's a
No.
future concept for Pakistan, I think.
So I've seen 3 startups in my 10 years being a part of this ecosystem, but that's nothing to worry about. You might have competitors, you might have copycats, you might have people who would like to do the same, but they won't have the passion that you have. They
Exactly.
won't have the belief in the idea that you have. But yes, if somebody believes that their idea is the most unique one, I don't think so. Those kind of ideas exist. So uh, just an example, Mohsen's example is there. If somebody else who would like to say that unka bada koi unique idea, like to comment on that. But at the bottom line, it doesn't matter if it's not unique. It's about how much hard work you put in. What's the timing of that startup? Is it relevant to the industry? Has its time come in? Is it a bit early or is it a bit late? So all of these things matter. So any other startup would like to mention their idea? Yep. If you could pass the mic.
Well, I wouldn't say my startup is unique in the sense that it's never been done before in the world or in Pakistan. But I would rather say that the way we are implementing the electric vehicles solution in Pakistan, I think the way we are approaching it is somewhat unique in the sense that it's working out with respect to the previous startups who tried and they died out. We penetrated into the B2B market as well.
What makes you think that what was the fate of other startup won't be yours?
Well, I won't name them, but one of the startup gave the electric bikes to around worth 43 crore rupees of electric bikes to dealerships and ran away to Dubai. So,
So you know you're in a hardware startup, and hardware startup needs a lot of capital.
yeah,
You will bleed dry before you can make it to the market. So
y-
you need to know. So there are a few things that I like to mention as the session says. Actually, it doesn't say here. I had them edited. So that was tips for early stage founders. So tip number one would be try to get an idea that doesn't bleed a lot of funds before you can start selling. So that is one.
yes.
If you do, prove me wrong, and I'd be so happy.
We started with a niche. We targeted celebrities. We started with people who are already aware with the Tesla, Elon Musk, SpaceX, the new technology, how to charge an electric vehicle.
इलेक्ट्रिक गाड़ी के बारे में अब सब जानते हैं, अब सभी जान चुके हैं.
जानते
हाँ,
सब हैं.
हाँ.
But if you take a villager, he'll ask you a ton of questions and then say, इसमें टैंकी किधर है? Now convincing him and spending time on him and satisfying him is way more difficult than let's say Alamdar Khan, who is a celebrity. He's one of
So how
our
long have you
customer.
been doing this?
So
How long have you been doing this?
we just got a patent for our product a few weeks ago.
And have you sold a few of those?
Well, we have pre-orders booked, and we are waiting to raise our first round to scale up the production. The production model is ready, and
Wish you
we've got
best
the
luck
patent.
for that. Okay, so the other thing would be that you need to acknowledge that currently we are in a economic meltdown world over. It's a recession time. Funding is not uh, available as freely as it used to. So you need to keep in mind that probably you'd have to bootstrap and fund the startup yourself. Any other idea that thinks it's unique? Just I'll take two more answers and 20 seconds each.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm representing a company which is dealing a product which is from future. And my question is, how can I optimize my local customers as well as international customers for this purpose?
Sure, we'll do the Q&A session in a bit. Okay, so we've established that people might think their idea is unique, but might not be. Though their markets could be unique, or somehow they've tinkered around it and made it into a new thing by adding a few more features. But feature cannot be a company, can it be? I don't think so. So I'm not here to discourage you guys, but I want to get early stage founders on the right track. And as I've said, a feature cannot be a company. It needs to be really good. It needs to be sell easily. I think your company will start the day you will be able to sell something. You might have companies, you might have startups, but I would only consider them functioning after you've been able to sell something, because selling is the most important part. Because people will come and make great products, they'll have the best technology, great team, and they might even be lucky enough to go and raise some funds as well. But then when it comes to selling part, I've seen many in the past 10, 12 years that I've been part of this ecosystem, many companies were not able to sell as well as they were able to build it. So start selling today. You might have a product that's not ready. Try to go to market, start selling it today. Like this guy mentioned here, the electric vehicles guy, he said that I have pre-orders. You gotta be having real pre-orders where they commit and maybe pay like 25% of that upfront. And that will be a good reality check to you. If nobody is willing to put in 25% of that item that you're gonna sell in this utopian future, then it might not be good enough. So that's another thing. होगा क्या कि you will have the passion, you'll have the steam, you'll have a great idea, and you'll start building it. A few of your friends or co-founders will also believe in it, but the steam will go off. You will run out of the steam when you are not able to sell what you've built working past 6 months or 8 months. So try to build something that you can start selling today, even if it doesn't exist, and try to polish your sales skills. So one of the tips for early stage founders would be try to build something that doesn't need a lot of capital before you start. Because if it needs a lot of capital, who's going to give that to you? And then the cost of your failure will be really high as well. और जब startups fail होते हैं तो सिर्फ financial cost नहीं होती, because you're working 7 days a week, you have 12 hours a day work shift, and then you are compromising on your social life. So once you fail, that will be a sad story, because you might have not seen your friends in like a year and a half. You might have missed weddings of your cousins, or even worse, maybe your own. so, so that's that. Yep. So start selling. Try to build something that doesn't need a lot of capital straight away, because as I mentioned, we are in an economic meltdown globally, not just Pakistan, and the VC income is not as freely available. यूनिवर्सिटीज़ में क्या होता है, पिच करना सिखाते हैं. मुझे एक सिर्फ एग्जांपल बता दें जो पाकिस्तान में पिच करके सीख के तो उसने पैसे रेज कर लिए. आई डील विद वीसीज. वी हैव रेज्ड सीरीज ए, $10 million सीरीज ए, जो कि ब्लूमबर्ग ने कवर किया और भी सभी ने कवर किया. एंड वी हैड $100 million बाय आउट ऑफर from one of the largest companies in the world, and we turned it down because we think we have perfected the playbook in Pakistan for Bookme. We have only tapped around like 4% of all the travelers in the country, and as the digital adaptation will increase, we probably will build $1 billion company in next 5 years. That's the vision that we have. So as I was telling you that I deal with VCs every day, and they are really, really sharp people. And if you think you could just graduate from university and have 5 other like-minded people to build something, and then you'd be able to sell that to VCs, that's difficult. Probably you would be able to get some angel investment, but that will run out too, because your fundamentals need to be right. So number 1, start selling. Number 2 would be try to build something that doesn't take a lot of capital. Number 3, embrace yourself to self-fund it, or fund it from somewhere so that you could have revenue before that fund that you raised runs out. So the last point that I just mentioned is actually called the path to profitability. Don't be like those companies who raised $150 million. Don't be like those companies who raise $70 million. Don't be like the companies who raise $50 million, $22 million, $18 million. I have the names of all those companies in my head. And those are the reasons when we go to VCs abroad, they say, look at this, and look at this. You Pakistanis have used funds very terribly, so it's hard for us to trust you. So, because those companies didn't have a path to profitability. I don't call it a business if you sell $100 bills for $75 each. You might have a great growth, you might have a lot of customers, but you won't have would be a path to profitability. So, path to profitability is something you should take into account all the variables. Probably जो आपने एक assumption बनाई है, there is an assumption कि मैं इतनी bikes बनाऊंगा, या मैं इतने tubewells बनाऊंगा, या मैं इतने बायोगैस की चीज़ें बनाऊंगा और मैं उनको इस तरह बेच लूँगा. Go into the market, test your assumptions early. I don't want you to fail, but more importantly, I don't want you to fail expensively. So don't try to make it expensive for yourself. Don't get into debt because you didn't have your assumptions tested. Next thing would be getting the right team. So a lot of people, early stage founders, I've noticed in the past 10 years, they'll go to their friends, they'll go to some circle outside of theirs, and they'll try to find co-founders. Those co-founders probably don't have anything else to do, or probably they like your idea, but there's no guarantee they will like that idea maybe like 18 months down the road when the things get tough. So don't give out equity in bulk on day one. If you have done that, I'd like to see you 3 years down the road and come to me and tell me that I was wrong. Because it's a tough one. If you do it, I'd definitely acknowledge you. So if you give out a lot of equity on day one, probably the thing is you will have a fight on some matter. Your friend or your co-founder will lose the steam that you have. Because a founder believes the most in the idea. The co-founders, they do, but some of them, they might have a cousin's business, or maybe they want to go abroad for a master's. Maybe their father tells them, beta, it's not working out, you got to do something else. So if you have those co-founders, I think it's time to have a tough talk with them. So that's another one. Don't give out a lot of equity on day one, and try to vest that equity. Try to vest it in a way that you tell them that my own share is vested. I don't have a single share of the company. I will have it after I've done this and this. Maybe make objectives, or after I've spent 2.5 years in the company. So that will tell them and you will know who is willing to stay 2.5 years and earn that equity. You cannot just hand it out to somebody on day one. So that's another one. Vesting your equity would be the best thing that you could do while building your team. So, and learn to speak, learn to market, learn to sell. Selling is the most important thing. I've seen people sell broken products, but they were smooth talkers and they would actually make their customers happy somehow and eventually perfect the product. So having the perfect product, I think that's utopian. You might not have the perfect product in the foreseeable future. You gotta have a MVP that's working, that solves a problem, and somebody is willing to pay for that. And if somebody is not willing to pay for that MVP, try to analyze or gather the requirements that what else do I need to add to that, and would they pay then? And ask them that, okay, I'll add that feature, but you put in X amount of money that I'll maybe discount you by 90%, but you pay that to me in a week or today, so that I could prioritize that future. People will be there, your customers, your potential customers might give you a lot of suggestions, but once you incorporate all the suggestions, they might not be willing to buy that solution because they would already be having some sort of a solution to that problem. If the problem exists, maybe it's not the best solution, but maybe they've learned it, their team has learned it, and they don't want to shift. So don't make that mistake. Try to get a commitment from people who would be willing to buy whatever you are building. So that's that. I have a few more points that I will say, and then we could start the quick Q&A session. So do market research. It's really important, and practical market research would be make a proposal, list all the features that you have, list the price point, and try to sell that. And if it sells, maybe you have something. Have a runway for 12 months and try to sell, actually build a product and have incoming revenues by month 8. If you don't do that, probably you'd have to cut down your expenses by a great deal. Maybe you have to ask a few of your co-founders or team members to go, and then you have to put in extra work, maybe take 3 of those roles. The founder has to be really strong. So if you're a founder, you need to know how marketing works, how product management works, how you need to know, probably you're not a techie, you don't know how to develop an app or a software, but you need to know how the algorithms work, and otherwise your developers will say that it will take 2 months, probably it takes a week. So you need to know if what they are saying is right. So you need to be able enough. So being a founder, you need to have a lot of strengths. You need to be good with numbers. If you're not, you can learn. I was never good at public speaking. Maybe I'm not till today, but you need to learn. There are jobs that somebody has to do. And most importantly, people who have the highest equity, they need to do all those tough tasks that are probably out of their comfort zone. And the next one would be start marketing even before you've started building something. Put up a web page, put up a page that lists all those features, and see, because it will take time for SEO to kick in, and your domain age actually would play a part in that as well. So try to learn SEO. Go to some online courses, learn the basics, learn good content writing, because you'll be writing a lot of emails once you're a founder. So you need to write well. Our to chat GPT we have, but still you need to add that human factor to it. You need to add that personalization. Try to start that today. Try to um, put 2 hours every day towards learning new skills, because I'll tell you that once you start to take off, a lot of people will be lying to you, because you won't have time and you won't have enough headspace to judge if they're saying right. So you need to know all those skills as a founder. And don't ride the high wave like Web3, AI, metaverse. When they arrive and then you start working on it, probably you are riding the wave that's about to hit the shore, and people will be on to the next thing. And nobody will be talking about metaverse after ChatGPT is come in. So that's another advice that I like to give. And I think you need to find your niche. You need to find that one place that nobody else has looked into favorably. Maybe they've missed it. Maybe that's not their pie. Maybe they are more into larger scale customers. Go and look for opportunities for SMB, small and medium businesses, because they remain underserved. Everybody wants to sell software and services to enterprise, but SMB remains a little underserved. And try to build something that you could sell for dollars. You know why? Because dollar में बरकत है, ठीक है? Dollar में अगर आप बेचते हैं, you'll be doing service to your country, because you'll be bringing in those dollars, and you'll be living a better life, I'd say, because Pakistani rupee is a tough one, and actually making Pakistani customers pay is an even tougher one, unless you have something that's an absolute necessity. Like for Bookme, a lot of the travel that happens to our app or platform is a necessity. जिसने हॉस्टल आना है अपने गांव से उसने आना है, जिसने काम के लिए इस्लामाबाद जाना है उसने जाना है. So it's a necessity. Travel is a necessity. But my take on that is most of the industries that are necessity already have solutions catering to them. But then you'd have to dive a bit deep and see what are the necessities to, say, smaller schools or smaller SMBs or some other industry that might have been overlooked by the big tech or by the startups that have come in to this day. So that's about it from me. And I'd like to take a couple or three questions, and then probably I'll just leave.
Sir, excuse me. Sir, I had a comment. You were asking for a comment. So firstly, I would like to thank Dr. Fakar for organizing such a great event. And secondly, your speech was very well articulated for the Entrepreneur's Guide for Success. Thank you so much for that. I would love to have a picture with you after this. So sir, you talked about something that you're passionate about. So we are passionate about SDG 9, which is United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 9. So that is why we chose intelligent automation. But my comment follows from your comment that you do something that you have the funds for. So in order to combine robotics process automation with artificial intelligence, we need hardware equipment. For example, cameras, high-speed inspection cameras, and that sort of things. So I represent Idrak Systems. I am the research and marketing manager for an IoT-based company working in the industry 4.0. So as of now, we have worked for the past 4 years with big clients, Nishat Mills, Kohinoor, Sapphires, Christenbaum.
You're on revenue stage.
Yes, we are on growth stage. But the problem is that in order to actually automate the first part, we are automating the first part right now with IoT sensors. But in order to move on to computer vision, which is actually the robotics process automation with artificial intelligence, intelligent automation, we need funds. We have been committed funds by a lot of government bodies and some international bodies as well that promote UN SDG number 9. But as of now,
Hate to break it to you, brother, but those government funds might never arrive. So
yes, you're very
that's
right, sir.
another thing.
Very right. They have been delayed for a while. You're very right in that. Thoroughly understand what you mean. But there are international bodies as well which are helping us achieve the UN SDG number 9. The problem is that when we get those grants, there are way more restrictions than the VCs put on us. So, I follow this comment from your comment, that you need to have a sustainable financial model.
Yeah.
The last thing is that our sales cycle currently is so long that even we have national level clients like Nishat Kohinoor, Sapphire, Kristen Bahman, Stylers, all of them.
पैसे नहीं देते.
So they do not, they do pay.
They say we'll pay after
No,
1
no,
year.
no. The thing is that they do pay, but since they're very big brands, they do not pay as well as they should or ought to. And then of course there are delays in payments as well, like credit-based payments.
So the conundrum here is you have a hardware startup and
Yes,
you
hardware
sell
software.
that to an enterprise. And
Yes,
enterprise actually doesn't acknowledge smaller players. And
Yes.
वहाँ पर होता क्या है कि वो आपको बहुत एक तो chain of decision making बहुत लंबी होती है
Yes.
और आपको payments इतनी जल्दी clear नहीं होती.
Yes.
लेकिन इसका एक solution है. There's always a solution, but probably a tough path. I think you could look into industries that are run by SETs.
Yes, we are into that.
Get introductions और सेठ को किसी तरीके से आप मर्सप्राइज कर दें कि जो मैं करने जा रहा हूँ ना तुम्हारी जिंदगी बदल देगा, ठीक है? और your money would actually be then in the pocket of your customer. Tell him मैं ये करना चाहता हूँ, I am passionate, मैं इसके लिए कुछ भी कर जाऊँगा, लेकिन आप मुझे थोड़े से इतने पैसे दे दें एडवांस और मैं ये लगा दूँगा आपको आके, ठीक है? Because इन्होंने खुद भी यही किया हुआ है अपने टाइम्स पे. So that's the way you should go about it. But then you'll have to have the ability of relationship making and sales at a level that is not easy to find.
Yes, we are working towards that. Thank you so much, sir.
Nice to know about your startup and best of luck.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. So continuing this conversation, we have a startup as well, but we are in the ideation stage, like the industrial automation tech products, like speed sorters and other robotic projects. We have developed prototypes for them, but still the same thing, the industries are not ready to opt that for their trials or something to that to fund as well. Like they don't think that a local startup may have that potential.
Yep. Try to prove them by bringing something into flesh. और दूसरा ये यार, I think probably that's not a real problem for them. That's why they're not willing to pay.
No.
You need to know if the problem is real or is that something that is sort of a vitamin but not a painkiller. You don't need to go into vitamins.
Sir, let me tell you, the company itself tell us the problem and we have developed their solution. And still now we have countered a problem that they are not showing us the support from their side. Because there's a multinational company, I have not taken their name, FMCG company, a largest one in the Pakistan.
One other thing I'd like to say, आप जैसे अच्छे बच्चे जब वहाँ जाते हैं आइडिया बताने, तो वहाँ पर उनके अपने इन हाउस कैपेबिलिटीज़ अवेलेबल होती हैं. वो आपसे आइडिया लेंगे और मिलता जुलता बना लेंगे, वो कर सकते हैं. उनके पास लैब्स हैं, उनके पास R&D है, उनके पास पैसा है. वो किसी ऐसे बंदे से जिससे वो अब मिले हैं रिसेंटली, प्रॉब्ली उसको नहीं इतना बड़ा, बिकॉज FMCG में इतने स्ट्रिक्ट प्रोटोकॉल्स हैं कि वो किसी ऐसी कंपनी जो कि फुली कॉम्प्लाइंट नहीं है उसके साथ बिजनेस नहीं करेंगे. एंड another advice I'd like to give you guys, don't register your company until you have enough revenue that you could fund the company for another year, because in Pakistan sadly compliance is a big pain. जब आप कंपनी रजिस्टर करेंगे आपको 10 से 12 डिफरेंट डिपार्टमेंट्स ये समझेंगे कि ये कोई बिल गेट्स का छोटा वर्जन यहाँ आ गया है, इसको हमने बस किसी तरीके से नोटिस भेजने. तो डोंट ट्राई टू रजिस्टर अ कंपनी स्ट्रेट अवे ऑन द डे दैट यू स्टार्ट doing that business. Don't do it. Do it after you have the real need to do it. Don't do it for the sake of it, because you will tend to a trap, a compliance trap, and it's not easy.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम सर हमारा एक मार्केट प्लेस है ब्रांड्स और इन्फ्लुएंसर के लिए कोलैब्स कैफ़े और हमने कुछ 1-1.5 हफ्ते पहले ही उसको पब्लिकली लॉन्च किया है और कुछ यूज़र्स भी आ गए 200 और 300 के करीब और मार्केट प्लेस पे जो है वो 2-3 लाख रुपए की ट्रांजैक्शंस भी आ गई हैं। मेरा सवाल ये है कि अभी तक हम लोग जो है वो बूट स्ट्रैप्ड हैं कम्प्लीटली 100%। व्हाट इज़ द बेस्ट टाइम टू रेज़ फंड्स, और अगर फंड रेज़ करते हैं तो हमारा फोकस क्या होना चाहिए, क्या स्केल या फिर रिसोर्सेज? थैंक यू सो मच सर।
Yep, great question. So you need to go and start raising funds when you have other things running on autopilot, or when you think that if I don't raise funds in X amount of months, the lights might go off at my company. So one of the two. And then if you start raising funds, you need to create time. You know, there are 24 hours in a day, and you probably are doing something else since you are running a revenue stage startup. First of all, congratulations on that. That's a big win. That's a great start. So you're in revenue stage and you probably have a lot of things that you currently do in your regular day. You will be doing those things, plus you will get extra couple of hours to learn how to raise money and reach out to those VCs. So the best time to raise an investment would be when somebody would give you that money, and I don't think so that that could happen with no effort. You have to put in that effort. You have to bring in belief to those VCs that I have a product that's already revenue stage and I could take the sales and GMV and revenue by to X multiple if I raise X amount of money. And here is the living example. Here are my sales numbers. So probably a few of them would actually like to hear your pitch and your deck. Acha. Okay, that's another very real world question. So, SAT, they are not technical. And in the valley, they say you need to know who are you getting in bed with, because it's a partnership. See, so you don't want to get into bed with the wrong people. They will probably anchor you down because they won't understand that how startups or VC world works. So try to find a seat that wears Adidas on weekends and go to Gloria jeans and knows a thing or two about startup world.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing the amazing, insightful, strategic interactions you have. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a huge round of applause for Mr. Taimoor Ali, COO, Bookme.pk, to receive their souvenir on stage. Stage.